Duke walked into the bedroom. He had a reason for coming in, a very clear reason. But the moment he stepped inside, it was gone. He looked at the table. Maybe he came for his phone. Maybe his keys. Maybe his wallet. It had to be one of those. And yet somehow he couldn't remember. That's the worst part about forgetting something. Not the forgetting itself, but the fact that a second earlier, the answer was right there. Duke forgets things all the time. PIN codes, passwords, names 5 seconds after hearing them. But one day it got serious. Duke forgot where he had hidden a piece of paper with the password to his crypto wallet. And that raises a question. If memory is so important, why does it fail people all the time? Why do names disappear instantly? Why do keys vanish the second they're needed? Why does the brain sometimes even create memories that never happened? And most importantly, can memory actually be improved? This story starts with something simple. A person walks into a room and immediately forgets why. It feels ridiculous, but it happens to almost everyone. And the reason is that memory is not as stable as people like to think. Today, Duke will explain to you how memory works, why forgetting is normal, why false memories happen, and what actually helps people remember better. Part 1. Memory is not a recording. A lot of people imagine memory as storage, like the brain is a hard drive, saving clean little files from daily life. But it doesn't work like that. Memory is messy. It's selective, and it works in stages. First comes short-term memory. That's the information a person has just picked up. A price tag in a store, a name at a party, a message on a phone. Then comes working memory. That's when the brain starts doing something with that information. For example, this costs $5. There are 30 in the wallet, but bread and eggs still need to be bought too. That mental process is working memory. And if the brain decides the information matters, it can move into long-term memory. That's where skills, experiences, facts, and personal memories live. But here's the problem. At every stage, something can go wrong. A person might not fully notice the information, might not process it properly, or the brain might simply decide it isn't worth keeping, and then it disappears. Part 2. Why people forget. Forgetting is not a glitch. It's normal. In fact, it's necessary. If the brain tried to save every single detail of every single day, it would be overwhelmed. So instead it filters. It keeps what feels emotional, what feels unusual, what feels important, and unfortunately, what feels embarrassing. That's why two people can live through the same moment and remember completely different things, because memory is not reality. It's more like an edited version of reality. Part 3. False memories. And this is where things get strange. When the brain doesn't remember something clearly, it doesn't always say, "I don't know." Sometimes it fills in the gaps. It takes pieces from similar experiences, emotions, assumptions, and details from other moments, and builds a memory that feels real. That's why memory is not like replaying video footage. It's more like rebuilding the past every time. And sometimes that reconstruction is wrong. That's how false memories happen. A person can feel completely certain that something happened a certain way, even when it didn't, which means the brain doesn't just forget. Sometimes it confidently invents. Part 4. 3 big reasons memory fails. There wasn't enough time. Imagine meeting 10 new people in 1 minute. By the 5th name, the brain is overloaded. By the 10th, it's barely holding on. That doesn't mean the memory is broken. It just means the information came too fast. The brain needs time to process things. Without that time, details slip away. Attention was somewhere else. Memory depends heavily on attention. If the body is in one place, but the mind is somewhere else, there's a good chance the moment never gets stored properly. A message pops up during a meeting. Buy bread. It gets read, maybe even acknowledged, but 5 seconds later it's gone. Why? Because the brain was focused on the meeting, not the bread. 3 technology made remembering less necessary. And yes, modern technology plays a role. Why memorize directions? If there's GPS, why remember facts? If they can be searched in seconds, why store information? If a phone can store it instead, the brain adapts. If it thinks something will always be available externally, it stops spending energy trying to keep it. And that's why so many people feel helpless the second their phone battery dies. Part 5. How to remember better. The good news is that memory can be helped. There are a few simple techniques that make a real difference. Focus on purpose. A lot of forgetting happens because people act on autopilot. So when something matters, it helps to mark the action consciously. If Duke locks the car, he shouldn't just do it automatically. He should pause and register it. The car is locked. Simple. A little weird, but effective. 2. Make it unusual. The brain remembers unusual things better than boring ones. So if something needs to be remembered, it helps to make it stand out. A strange mental image, a funny action, a tiny ritual. The more distinct the moment feels, the more likely the brain is to keep it. 3. Build associations. Random information is hard to store, but if it connects to something visual or familiar, it becomes easier to remember. A number, a name, a location, all of it sticks better when it has a hook. So Duke sat there, trying to remember where he had hidden that password. He replayed his steps, the room, the table, the objects around it. He mentally walked back through everything he had done. And then, there it was, under a book, right in front of him. Memory fails people not because the brain is broken, but because memory is selective, messy, and constantly rewriting. Forgetting is normal. But once people understand how memory works, they can stop fighting it blindly and start using it better.